Hey guys, today we're going to read a story called Matthew and Tilly. This is Matthew and this is Tilly. The author of this story, the person who wrote the words, is Rebecca C. Jones, and the illustrator, the person who drew the pictures, is Beth Peck. So Matthew and Tilly are best friends, but one day they get in an argument. I wonder what happened to make these two best friends get in a quarrel. Let's read and find out. Matthew and Tilly were best friends. There's Matthew and there's Tilly. They rode bikes together. You see his bike? And they played hide and seek together. Look at Tilly hiding around the corner. That looks like fun. They sold lemonade together. See their lemonade stand? When business was slow, business is when you buy and sell things, they played sidewalk games together. So it looks like they're playing hopscotch. And sometimes they ate ice cream cones together. Do you see them? Once they even rescued, that means to save someone or something from danger, a lady's kitten from a tree together. Do you see them? Matthew's handing Tilly the kitten. He got a ladder to get it down and rescue it. The lady gave them money for the bubblegum machine. You see that? You put a quarter in and you got some gum. So later, they chewed gum together and remembered how brave, how not scared or afraid they had been. Sometimes, though, Matthew and Tilly got sick of each other. That means they were bothering each other and they were tired of being around each other. One day, they were coloring. Matthew broke Tilly's purple crayon. He didn't mean to, but he did. You see how they're down there coloring? So Matthew and Tilly argue or fight over the broken crayon, and both of them get upset. You broke my crayon, Tilly said in her crabbiest voice. It was an old crayon, Matthew said in his grouchiest voice. It was ready to break. No, it wasn't, Tilly said. It was a brand new crayon, and you broke it. You always break everything. Stop being so picky. That means hard to please, Matthew said. You're always so picky and stinky and mean. Well, Tilly said, you're so stinky and mean. See her hands on her hips? She looks angry. Matthew stomped up the stairs by himself. So Matthew and Tilly quarrel. They argue or disagree over the broken crayon. Matthew is upset about Tilly calling him names. You look at him, he looks a little sad. Tilly found a piece of chalk and began drawing numbers and squares on the sidewalk. Let's back up a second and see if we can make that where you can see it. All right, guys. So Tilly draws on the sidewalk with chalk. You see her down there? Tilly is upset that Matthew broke her purple crayon. Both of them were upset, and now she's playing by herself. You see her down there? Upstairs, Matthew got out his cash register. See it? And some cans so he could play store. He piled the cans extra high and he put prices on everything. This was the best store he had ever made, probably because that picky and stinky and mean old Tilly wasn't around to mess it up. But he didn't have a customer, a person who buys something. And playing store wasn't much fun without a customer. Tilly finished drawing the numbers and squares. She drew them really big with lots of squiggly lines. This was the best sidewalk game she had ever drawn. Probably because that stinky and mean old Matthew wasn't around to mess it up. But he didn't have anyone to play with. But she didn't have anyone to play with, and a sidewalk game wasn't much fun without another player. Tilly drew the best sidewalk game ever, but it wasn't much fun without another player. Matthew and Tilly play sidewalk games together. See her, she looks so sad. Matthew looked out the window and wondered what Tilly was doing. To wonder means to think something in your mind. Tilly looked up at Matthew's window and wondered what he was doing. She smiled just a little, but that was enough for Matthew. I'm sorry, he called. So am I, said Tilly. Matthew and Tilly apologized to one another. And Matthew ran downstairs so they could play. See, he came outside. Together again. Look at them. Happy and ready to play again. So, guys, I have a question for you. Why did Matthew stomp up the stairs? Think about that. What made Matthew stomp up the stairs? Now, if I'm going too fast, remember you can always hit pause and keep talking. But you're right, he was upset because Tilly was calling him names. That's exactly right. They got into a quarrel and they were calling each other names, and then he got really upset and ran away. So I think the author's trying to tell us something here. Friends don't always get along, but true friends forgive each other and resolve their differences.